Thank you and welcome to Disavowed. I am your always gracious and humble host, Bebo the Great. Tonight I have with me, returning for the second
Yep.
time, Alex Portelli of Prntly.com. How you been, Alex, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah. Uh, you've had a busy time since the last time we spoke. um,
Yeah, it's true. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah, you did the rally, right? Correct.
Yep.
I took a little bit of flack, man, over the rally. A little
Oh,
bit.
you did?
Yeah. Some people said that you ended up pulling a no-show. Is this true?
No, I was up there, but it was just so many problems with just where everybody was supposed to meet, and and then everybody who was involved with organizing it had their Facebooks just totally banned. Everybody was banned. Uh, Yeah, so it was just rather than the city was not helpful at all with organized. So it was just kind of a mess. But and since then, every single person involved has had their Facebooks permanently banned. So I'm banned. A bunch of other people who were helping out were banned. Yeah, so it sucks. And of course, Seattle, they love the communists and the socialists. So the people of Seattle were not very friendly at all. But yeah, no, it was pretty effed up.
Yeah.
Printly is still and then also Printly is still on Facebook though, but definitely the reach on Facebook has been totally wiped out by Facebook. So yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. Unfortunately or fortunately, at the time I was actually in Facebook jail, so I didn't help really promote it at all. But so I'm in Facebook jail again right now as we speak.
Oh, they're horrible.
So, I mean, my days are probably definitely numbered over there. and
Yeah.
but I truly believe though that your rally motivated the city. If you notice, like about 2-3 days before your rally was scheduled, they began to make the move to dismantle Chop or Chaz or whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
they did. Yeah, that they did that literally a few days before it was supposed to happen. So I'm sure there was no coincidence there at
Right.
all. So at least it was success in that aspect.
Right. So obviously you got zucked from Facebook and stuff like that. So
Yep.
what? But you're also working on a I don't know, I wouldn't even really call it like a Facebook, but like some type of uh, social media platform, right?
Yep. Yeah. Marketplace and social network in one. It's called printpage.com, prntpage.com. And it's basically the idea of it is streamlining all of these different functions and features of these Silicon Valley big tech companies into one place. And, I think it's great. We need this. I think the best thing that's happened this year since the election is it seems like finally everybody has awoken to the dangers of big tech and tech tyranny, and everybody is fleeing Facebook and Twitter for alternatives. As you contacted me on Parlor, and everybody's going to everything Gab and MeWe and whatever the heck. But we need to get competition because it's just the right can't do anything as long as we rely on Facebook.
Well, see, the thing is, I truly believe that they're just going to come out after us on these platforms eventually. Also, unfortunately,
Yes.
they're never going to just leave us be, right?
No, not at all. No, they even on CNN it was making the rounds. They were like, "Oh my goodness, they have Parlor. They're just saying whatever they want on Parlor, and it's horrible. It's dangerous to democracy." They don't want us to be able to talk at all. Pretty much, they don't want us to have any platform. It's very scary.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I don't know what's scarier right now, like what's going on in the election, or the social media censorship. They could be basically one and the same in a way, you know. But they're both very very dangerous to, you know, just civil society. They talk about being civil society, but yet they are the least civil. So what do you think's going to happen as far as the election? You think Trump is going to pull it out, or
you know, I won't say what I won't say what I hope happens, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, man. It's so strange. It's very very strange. I mean, you're in Michigan, right? What was happening in Detroit? That was I saw videos and read all the affidavits. There was dozens of Republican observers in Detroit, and what was happening there looked like it sounded like a third world country or something. Just with the way that they were handling ballots.
yeah, and then our two Republican canvassers for the county ended up not certifying originally, and then they were on a Zoom meeting for the voting on the canvassers, and everyone just came running in, you know, basically exposing them, like vaguely making threats towards their family and their children and stuff like that. And then the two canvassers ended up flipping back and certifying, right? And now they want to flip back and not vote to not certify. But I read like something like 70% of the mail-in and the absentee ballots cannot be verified in Wayne County.
Wow,
right?
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's they've got to. I don't know. I mean, it's also, you know, it's definitely the sketchiest thing I've ever seen. You know, I grew up in New York, which was in Albany, New York, to be exact, and that was a very big Democrat machine town. It was like, you know, like Tammany Hall style politics, and my parents were Democratic committee members, and so they collected signatures for candidates almost every election. And I remember my dad was so good at collecting signatures for the Democratic Party. That the mayor of the city had told all of his, you know, supporters, because all that mattered was the Dem primaries there, and he'd tell his people, don't even bother challenging John Portelli's signatures. They're too good. You know, but there's methods, you know, that you would usually use to knock off signatures or ballots, and, you know, things have to be done very particularly for ballots. And it sounds like seems like one time where it seems like nothing was really followed. Some of these ballots, the stories coming out of Detroit are insane, but it seems like they counted them anyway. It's very suspicious. I'd really like them to do like an audit of the ballots. I don't think they're gonna, though. It just seems like the Democrats want to block an audit. So I don't know what's going to happen, really. It's very strange.
Yeah, the one canvasser, that was part of the agreement for him certifying, because once you certify them at a county level, then it's got to go up to a state level. So essentially, if the two county canvassers wouldn't have certified it, they basically would have just delayed it till the state would have certified it, from my understanding. Yeah, but you see how they work. They literally they labeled these people fascist, Nazis, racist, you know, for wanting to make sure these votes are basically legitimate votes. And then it works. The right wing or the Republicans, every time, soon as they start getting threats or being called racist and stuff like they tend to cave.
They capitulate. It's a big problem. You know, they use a lot. They use, you know, whatever they can do legally, you know, and illegally almost. You know, the left will use now against people. Even with me. Oh man, after that rally, they even Antifa is like totally went nuts against me, and just attacking me online and threatening me, and they slandered the heck out of me on Wikipedia, and that, you know, these are their tactics. They try to dox you. If you have a job, they'll try to, you know, get you fired. They do that to conservatives all the time. it's in what you said in Michigan with threatening those that Republican was the certifier. They went in the Zoom call and they doxed her kid's school or something.
Yeah, that's right.
As if like what relevance does that have other than you're just insinuating threats towards their kids? So yeah, the tactics they use are they're thuggish. They're very thuggish.
Well, you used to be a Democrat and you're Italian. I used to be a Democrat and I'm Italian also. We know how we get things done, right?
Yep, exactly. That's it. Exactly.
Unfortunately, some of these things you see in the movies were like there's movies where like the mafia guys would show up at polling places and do a little intimidation and like this is real. Like the movies aren't.
They are absolutely. Yeah. No, it's totally real. It is. Even though in Albany the Democratic machine, they pay people. It was the O'Connells ran it, and they ran the party. And who, if you wanted to run for office for the capital of New York, you had to get their permission. And Albany had the longest running mayor in American history. He was mayor for like 50 plus years. Erastus Cornyn was his name because he was their guy. But they would pay people $5, $5 a vote, right outside the polling places. And there's lots of great stories, not great, but lots of stories of the corruption out of there. And you see the effects of it. You look in Detroit, you look in Albany, you look in these former machine towns, these Democrat machine towns, and the places fall apart. The city's just through corruption and just this one party power. The ineptitude from it is very sad. Really, you do see there is an after effect to this corruption.
I completely agree, and it's not only in politics; it's also in your local chambers of commerce. Everyone always assumes like your chambers of commerce is a more conservative movement, but locally, there's a lot of times where your local chambers of commerce is completely one-sided Democratic Party rule. It's not because there's this belief out here that the Republicans tend to be the Republicans just tend to be the business side. But if you look in society nowadays, the Democrats are some of the wealthiest, richest people running these Fortune 500 companies.
Absolutely. And I think a big reason of that too, and why you have these corporations that back the Democrats, because they like these regulations, because these regulations, they can, the regulations don't affect Walmart, they affect the small business owner, and who's more Republican than, small business owners and self-employed people. And that's their goal kind of is they just want to crush this, they just want a total, it's this corporate liberal oligarchy almost, the same with big tech. We see Facebook and Twitter, trying to block all these little services and whatnot. So it's very, it's sick. It's very scary and sick.
Well, you see like the answer is obviously trying to diversify and having competition in the marketplace, right? But
yep.
Like even me, I was recently just suspended on MeWe, right? They suspended me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So for us to just assume, see, everyone eventually seems to sell out, right? It just matters what the price, right? Now, what we also need to do is we have to start organizing and being a larger voice in like banking. A common problem with the right and the grassroots right is they get kicked off of like GoFundMe and Fundly and what's the
MailChimp just kicked the Tea Party off. Freaking MailChimp. WordPress kicked conservative Treehouse off this week.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, all of them. It's the whole, that's the problem is the Silicon Valley. The Silicon Valley, any company in Silicon Valley is co-opted by the left. I don't know if it's an agenda from the CEOs themselves or just the staff and the employees that work there. But we need to have a like a counter Silicon Valley almost, a conservative counter reaction for all of these things. I think it's coming though. For sure, I do think it's coming. At Print Page, that's like the idea of Print Page, is you take all these functions from these Silicon Valley companies. You have Airbnb if you want a room, a home share. You have Uber if you want to ride. Because Uber has punished conservatives too. Grubhub if you want to order food. All these different things. Put all these functions into one easy, streamlined marketplace, and then you have a social media side as well. And that's what we're trying to do at Print Page, and do it at a rate that's better than what these companies charge for the things where they do charge. So with Print Page, it's free to list. Certain functions do actually work already. You can sell things online. We only take what is it, 4.9% plus 30 cents, which is cheaper than Amazon, eBay, all those other things. We actually are selling a lot of conservative gear on there as well. But if anyone out there has a store or something they sell, you're welcome to list. We get a lot of traffic that we direct from Prntly. But this is what we'll have to do for sure. We have to build our own internet infrastructure because they've taken over what's there currently. GoDaddy, they kick people off who host if they're conservative. It's everything. It is too bad.
Well, not only our own internet infrastructure, we need our own payment processors, right?
Yes.
Basically, we need our own banking, and see that's the problem with the right. We seem to not like comprehend how to take the fight to these people, right? Like at one time when they were first when the right was first getting kicked off of Facebook, I said, the best thing that we can do as right-wingers is all go buy as much Facebook stock as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Do you get what I'm saying, though?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. That would have been, even though it's too bad because Facebook was majority owned by, I believe it was majority owned, don't quote me, but Peter Thiel. I know Peter Thiel was the first big investor in Facebook. He financed Facebook. And actually, if you notice, while he was the lead investor in Facebook, there was none of this censorship on Facebook, and, because Facebook has only gotten bad in the last 5 or 6 years, I think, right? Would you kind of agree there? Because 10 years ago, you could do or say whatever you wanted on Facebook.
Well, really, when Trump won, they started attacking.
Crackdown.
Much harder. But
and yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they started. No, I was going to say, and I remember, they started that Unite the Right thing, and they started, with the Nazis and like an actual neo-Nazi, a real neo-Nazi, not. Because they call everybody a Nazi now, but, and that happened. And, of course, everyone was kind of like, oh, who goes, that's understandable, and then I remember they went after the Confederate stuff and the statues and, I'm not a Southern boy, so I didn't really care about that. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It's not my concern, and now it seems like they just keep pushing the envelope, and now it's almost just like, oh, you're a Republican, boom, like now they're just going after everybody left and right. So it was a slippery slope that has now, since they saw Trump won, and I think they realized, well, we gotta, we can't let these people communicate. But that's why Parler is nice. Parler is not bad, I guess. You see a lot of opinions that from people you forgot existed. I forgot people like Milo were out there, and I get to see InfoWars. But they're censoring everybody on Twitter and Facebook now. Mark Levin just got shadow banned, I think he was saying. It's too bad, really.
What's so interesting is like how they pick and choose who they tend to go after. Like Bannon, I think Twitter just went after Bannon and booted Bannon, right? But then Zuckerberg came out and said that he's going to keep Bannon, right? So
There's no consistency.
it's the same. Why should we expect any? It's the same in the IRS. You're a businessman, right? You know, I've seen the power of the IRS. Like, you can literally talk to someone and they can just forgive your fines and forgive, depending on what age. You know, whoever. They literally they're like the police. They got the right to discretion. You know.
Oh yeah.
And
no, it's true. You know, it's funny you're saying about the IRS. People don't realize, you know, the interest that the IRS can charge is it would be illegal. It's like if anybody else charged the kind of interest that the IRS does. Yeah, the IRS is. They
don't label it as interest, right? They label it as a penalty, right?
Penalty, quote unquote penalty.
Yeah, like one time I missed reporting a quarter on time on my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
They fined me $2,400 for one.
Oh, they're the worst. Oh, it's extortion. What? No, it is. They're like the mafia. They really are. They really do. It reminds me of Loan Sharking almost. So I know, you know, if you're going to be self-employed, you're going to, you know, you got to deal with the penalties. But yeah, no, that's how it is, man. It's same with, you're right about Facebook. It's in Twitter it is total discretion. And it doesn't make sense. It's scary. It's not consistent. I'm still on Twitter. I rarely use it. I post print page announcements and that's it. I don't get into the politics of it. But yeah, you know, it's, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. With, you know, it goes back to when you're saying about the payment processors, you know, like that is a big challenge. I think that's the final challenge that we're thinking of and working on with print page. Is finding we'll probably try to make our own at some point kind of infrastructure for that. But, you know, Andrew Torba, who started Gab, that's probably the scariest thing I've seen happen to somebody on the right. Visa banned him. Are you familiar with that? Visa actually,
and his
Visa
wife.
credit card. Yeah, and his wife. His family was banned by Visa. Literally, him and his whole family can't have a Visa credit card.
They used his address. They basically banned his home address. And anyone trying to set up a payment processor from that address basically can't set up a payment processing. You know, and I don't know if you know this. They just brought the first tax evasion case against someone for Bitcoin. I don't know.
That's too bad. I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, and he ended up being a former Google executive.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'm surprised they actually went after somebody with Google, but yeah, the hypocrisy, of course. That's that's too bad. We could go into a lot about Bitcoin. I actually still own some Bitcoin. It's been sitting in a wallet for 10 years. I don't know just what to do with it, but that is totally unfair, the IRS rules.
I tried telling people years ago, they were like, it's untraceable. They can't find. I'm like, listen, man, anything done on a computer, if they want to look back, they can find it. You know, they got your printer. Your printers have IP addresses. They can track what you print.
You cannot hide from the federal government. It's you just can't, you know. So it's absolutely, and that's why, you know, like I like Bitcoin. You even can look it up with me. When I had my diner, I was one of the first places in New York State to actually accept Bitcoin. I liked the concept a lot. I really loved the idea of it as an alternative currency, kind of. But when it got into the speculation game, I kind of lost the interest in it. You know, I still like the concept of it. My dog is. I like the concept of it, but I mean, it's you can't, you know, thinking that you can somehow pull a fast one on the federal government hiding money with it. They're gonna make an example of it eventually. I figured that, and it looks like they're starting now, which is too bad. But
I don't know. See, I think Trump in these last days, I don't think Trump's gonna pull it out. I think he's gonna concede eventually. He'd
concede, or he'd have to pull some kind of coup. Again, because there's no way he can overturn the hundreds of thousands of, whether they're illegal or not. They're not going to let him overturn votes in these states, especially these Democrat-run states. You know, So yeah, he'll have to concede. Obviously, yeah, if he's not going to win it in court, that's for sure.
Right.
But
They,
anyway, keep
they
coming.
didn't cheat. They didn't cheat like this to let him overturn it. Right.
Yes.
You know, like
Yeah, exactly.
but but
Yeah.
but see what I think he should do. I think he should immediately come out and pardon Snowden.
Snowden.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I think he should pardon Assange. Right.
That'd be great too.
And I think he should release these guys onto them. They are obviously better at digging up dirt than him.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
And then
yeah, that
also,
would be excellent.
I would like to see the Silk Road. I forget his name. The Silk Road. guy.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yep.
It's some German.
Yeah, there you go.
Deerdorf or something.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, it's a big libertarian icon.
Right. You know, he ended up getting like 3 life sentences, no parole.
Yeah. Yep. Another one. They made an example of him. You know, it's these guys. You know, that's admirable for all these guys. You know, it's they like liberty. They took on the all powerful federal government, and you know, the government smacked them. You know, but you know, I was just actually having a conversation before we started this with some friends, and it's very what frustrates me is that the Republicans, we will take power, and then when we're in control, we never push the ball back down the court the other way. You know, we just hold the ball in place until the Democrats win, and the Democrats keep pushing the back, you know, forward, you know, in their direction again. And we controlled everything. We had the House, the presidency, and the Senate in 2016 to 18 or 2000, whenever, you know, between for Trump. And we didn't really do much of anything. You know, we could have done so much for liberty and conservative values, and we didn't. You know, we see it even with conservative states as well, you know, like New Hampshire. I was just talking to my friend from New Hampshire, and Sununu, the Republican governor who vetoed some kind of voter fraud law. He now has just made a mask mandate, and you know, these Republicans just cave, rhinos, you know, and we put them in office, and they don't do anything for us.
Well,
it's a shame.
the problem is they attack their own. Like even me and you, we've gotten into a little disagreements a couple times, right? But like I don't just instantly blackball you, right? Like
yes.
Dude, if I agree with you on 85% of issues, yes, I'm not going to throw you out in the garbage, right?
Yep.
That's we got to admit that we have that same problem with what I would call the mainstream right as the left do, right?
Yeah,
now,
I agree.
You know, like I take a lot of flack because I'm tough on Trump, right? I thought he wasn't tough enough. I honestly thought he wasn't tough enough. You know,
I agree now.
And I get attacked. You know, it sucks when you're getting attacked by both sides.
Yeah, no, I know. Yes. I know. You know, I'm a lot more. That's another thing. Being banned from Facebook it's actually so nice. I feel like I got red pilled. You know, I just didn't realize I was just totally whatever the heck until I got kicked off it, because it is such a waste of time, and it's so hateful. You know, like you just get in fights with people, you know, and you lose friends and you lose otherwise good people, you know, and you can have a conversation with somebody and disagree with somebody much more civilly, you know, face to face or whatever than through Facebook. But no, I understand, you know, and definitely, it's, you know, I'm a lot more patient or a lot more civil with Republicans who are critical of Trump, because I do understand it. He did do a lot, which is nice, but he could have done a lot more. Now, it does look very promising that he's going to pull troops out of Iraq and Afghanistan. I think that's very good, and let's hope he goes through with it. It looks like that's he's setting his sights on that.
I think he will do that, and you still see the establishment, like McConnell came out and basically told him not to, right? Like he's like, I think this would be horrible, you know, and then you see the people that Joe Biden is appointing to his chief of staff is like an ex pharmaceutical guy or something.
Yeah, of course.
Like they're all
Bernie
big
Sanders.
business. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they
all
might make
big
Bernie
business.
Sanders labor secretary. Yeah, it's going to be very. Yeah, I read that. No, of course, it's all money. It's all an industry. I remember I was listening to Mike Savage the other day, and Mike Savage was talking about how Fauci in the '80s was Fauci has been with the been in his position or in that role for probably 40 plus years, and during the AIDS epidemic in the '80s, kind of a shill for the pharmaceutical companies. And almost it's a similar thing now. It's the same thing now. The pharmaceutical companies are just all they're seeing are dollars with COVID. They see this is just a new way to make billions and trillions of dollars off of this. They're frothing at the mouth at the amount of money that they could make off of this at the expense of us. So yeah, no, absolutely, it's.
See what I see single payer eventually coming, right? It's inevitable. And I'm to the point now where I'm like, just do it so we can get it over with, as it'll collapse.
Yeah.
And see, I'm the type of guy, like I want to have insurance, pay cash for everything. I believe if we pay cash.
Me too, man. Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
You know what would happen to the cost?
Simpler.
You know what would happen to the cost of the medical procedures if everyone had to pay cash up front?
Yeah.
It
would plummet.
It would plummet,
Yeah.
because no one would have the money to pay $50,000 for a knee replacement, right?
Yep.
I have family members that work in the medical field in sales. They sell like medical beds, medical tools, and stuff like that. And you should these tools. That are basically like, you could take almost the same exact tool for working on a house, right? It's almost the same thing, and they're charging like $2,000. People don't understand how much they pay for just like kits of scalpels and stuff. Like they upcharge it so much, and them beds that are in the hospital are like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Them beds.
Absolutely, it's outrageous. That's funny. It's what Ron, exactly. That was what Ron Paul would say. It was the same with student loans. College loan prices were not a problem until the government started offering paid college tuition. And the colleges realized, you can just get a loan from the federal government. We're going to charge you whatever we wanted. And if you really wanted to see college prices drop and be affordable, get rid of the federal student loans. Because nobody would be able to afford them otherwise. No bank would offer the amount of money in a loan that colleges charge for most of their stuff. So they'd have to drop the price. So I agree with you totally. That would be nice. I always actually thought if there was going to be some kind of taxpayer-funded health care, I always kind of thought that like a sin tax would be a good way to fund it, because then the people who are using the most medical services are the ones who are paying for it the most. Like if you're drinking and smoking and doing drugs and whatever the heck, then you're putting more money into it. But
see, me and you are very similar. Like I'm a syntax.
Yeah.
I'm a syntax guy all the way. Like I think we should get rid of prisons completely, and most crimes should just be syntaxes, right? And then. Here's my theory on I don't know. You seen Lil Wayne got caught with a gun, and he's a felon, right?
Oh yeah.
So he's gonna be facing another federal gun charge, which is up to 10 years federal gun charge, right? And but my theory is Lil Wayne should be able to own a gun. I don't see Lil Wayne as a threat to the public, right? So I don't. And that law actually started, the federal government passed that law in 1968, which prohibited people from owning guns that were felons. Before that, you could literally go to jail, and then they would hand you your gun when you got out of prison. And see, that was at the peak of the civil rights movement. That's why they made it against the law for felons to own guns. Then they were slapping all the Black Panthers with erroneous felony charges so they could just not own guns, right?
Republicans shooting themselves in the foot, or conservatives. It's no, I agree, and I could speak personally from that because and I'll touch on it real quick, and because the Antifa loves to first, or the left-wing media will, this is the first thing they'll say. So I'm a felon. When I was 19, this was in 2009, so 11 years ago, I was arrested for drug possession, being a young and dumb teenager in New York, and New York gave me 6 years. And I did 4 years in prison almost for it. And I'm a felon for that arrest from being 19 years old, a dumbass 19-year-old. I can't ever own a firearm the rest of my life, and actually during all this BLM rioting stuff that was going on, somebody actually broke into my garage and tried to break into my house. And I can't own a firearm to defend myself. I have a pregnant girlfriend here. I have a son coming on the way in 2 months. I can't even own a firearm to defend my house and defend my family. I think it's outrageous. I pay taxes, but it is what it is. So people don't realize that. If 50 years from now I can be, I'll be 70, 80 years old. I still cannot own a firearm because of that felon law. I think that's very unfair.
We got a comment here. If only we could roll back the regulation and insert more free market concepts to healthcare. If we can break the suppliers up somehow and address the cost aspect of healthcare, healthcare should become very cheap. Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's another that's another thing in our society. We tend to never use our monopoly laws in this country, right? Like now, I know that's not very libertarian, but I think that a monopoly is against the libertarian principles because it stifles competition, right? For example, I think if they passed a law, they always talk about the 230. There's some law for social media, the 230, that designates them a platform or a editor, right?
Yep.
You've heard this theory,
that's for the platforms, right? The social media.
Yeah, to hold them they're not liable.
Yeah, that's also a double-edged sword. It's and I know Trump has come out a lot wanting that to be repealed. But I don't know if I support that because it's a weapon that could be used against us then as well. Would be my fear, and that's almost like maybe that's like a crazy tactic that actually big tech wants almost behind the scenes, because then you can be, let's say even you could be liable for let's say I slander somebody on your show, and then now before you know it, now they can go after you, or or Prntly, then Prntly becomes liable, et cetera, for somebody a comment makes. It's but I agree the monopolies are bad. My experience, because if you remember, I was getting involved COVID stuff in the beginning of the year, when all this COVID stuff happened. And I learned a lot about the FDA, how FDA regulation just causes so much problems. It's like Dallas Buyers Club. If you ever saw Dallas Buyers Club, the movie. Yeah. Yep. It's just like that today still. It really is. The FDA, they control everything. You need to have a lot of money. With the COVID test kits, you had countries around the world were testing in mass because they were just producing cheap tests that are easy to ig. And the FDA, just the last 10 months, all they've been doing is, working with the big pharma companies to, give them a monopoly and wait until they can really have a monopoly. And now they're coming out with tests that in Asia cost 50 cents. And here the companies are charging $134 for a test. And you need to have a prescription and get it through your health insurance, whereas in free marketplaces, you just go to the store and buy it. And use reviews. If it has bad reviews, you don't get it. If people have, if it has good reviews, the market decides, and that's how they solve these problems. And they never had to do these lockdowns or these mask mandates because they let the free market regulate, Taiwan never did a mask mandate. Singapore, all these places. They never did Japan. They never did mask mandates. So yeah, no, absolutely. We need to, the government is just such a big problem causer in all of this. Let's see what they do with big tech when big tech starts lobbying them once everybody starts leaving Facebook and Google, and Twitter. Let's see if they start.
Dude, they're gonna come for us hard. They're gonna come for us hardcore. I wouldn't be shocked that Biden tries to pass some type of hate speech
regulation.
Yeah, regulation. Yeah,
on the internet. Yep.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely.
And then you also learned about I remember when they were holding some of your masks, and you asked. I forget what department that was. That was holding the mask.
Yeah, so that was like the KN95. So like, basically there was no masks anywhere. Everybody, if you remember in March and April, everybody's like, you have to wear a mask, but you couldn't buy an effing mask. So I kind of like reached out to some places overseas and some factories that like make them, and I'm like, oh, these guys have masks. Let me see if I can import them. And I started trying to import them, and I imported them, and it was just so hit or miss. The government was so confused because they're telling everybody we need masks and there's a mask shortage, but then they would seize masks trying to be brought into the country and hold them. So it just made no sense, and it only just like made the problem much bigger than it had to be. And there was a few cases where customs held the masks at port, whatever port they were, and I literally would have to drive out or fly out somewhere and like argue with them and say, hey, I mean,
or pay them.
And pay. Oh yeah, and then I had to pay. They told me one of them. I had a shipment. I was like imported of KN95 masks, and they're like, oh, we're sending these back. You can't have masks. And meanwhile, there's like no masks anywhere. And then I go out, and they're like, oh, you can pay $2,000 tariff fee or whatever, and you can have.
Right.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you told me over the phone that you're sending them back. Like, so it's just total
racket. It's a racket.
It's a racket. That's it. Exactly. Isn't it nuts?
Man, we are in like the most dangerous times I've ever seen. Like, when we were, I'm a little older than you, but we never had to deal with anything like this when I was a child.
Oh, I'm sure.
like this was unheard of.
Yep. It's bizarre, man. It is. I don't know how much worse it's going to get or how much weirder it's going to get, but it's
going to get bad. It's good. Where do you think it's going? Where do you think it? I think they're going to be able to roll. I think Trump was a major wall. See, I didn't vote. I'm a very Christian guy, right? Like that's why. That's why I feel about. That's why I tend to be conservative because I'm Christian, right? I didn't vote for Trump because he was some type of moral, superior man. I voted for Trump because I seen him as the wall in between me and communism. That's the only reason and he was the one that was willing to stand up and at least fight, to some degree, but then when he got in there, I seen him. Trump's first mistake was General Flynn. Okay, if he would have showed some loyalty to General Flynn, and then we had the infighting with Roger Stone and Bannon, they turned on each other, right? And whether you like Steve Bannon or Roger Stone or whatever, those are two political geniuses. Them two men.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Look how many presidencies Roger Stone has been involved in and helped win the presidency. Then
Then
I
was going to say I'm from New York, and Roger Stone is a legend in New York. He's been a legend in New York Republican politics for decades. So
right, and then you can almost single-handedly see when Bannon left the White House, President Trump acted. Oh, I hardly knew him. It's a slap in the face. Trump has no loyalty to anyone, but he wants absolute loyalty to him.
Yeah, no, it was it actually reminds me of there was a governor in the 2000s named Elliot Spitzer, and another New York City guy, and he was the attorney general, and it was kind of like that where because he became governor of New York, and it ended up being such a chaotic, governorship because he just expected absolute loyalty. It was his way completely. He treated it like it was some kind of business. He can just try to fire whoever he wants and hire whoever he wants, and they got to listen to him. And it put the state in so many gridlocks. The state was shutting down all the time with him as governor. And then actually, I guess people probably outside of New York don't know what happened to him, but it was kind of funny. He actually got indicted while governor. He was sneaking over to New Jersey and seeing prostitutes.
Right.
And he got arrested for it. But and he used to kind of say that all the stress from it drove him into it. But yeah, no, you got, it's government, in government you have to deal with people and work with people. And also, real quick, another thing that I feel Trump failed to do, it seemed like he didn't really stack the government with good people, talented people, and his loyalists. It seems like he left a lot of Obama era people in the federal government, or never Trumpers he would hire. It was really just a very chaotic administration, it seems like.
Yeah,
sure.
well,
he didn't reward his.
He started out horrible. He had Rance Priebus was his.
Yeah.
That's an establishment hack there. And then in Michigan, he barely won originally. He won by like 12,000 votes. And that was due to, quote unquote, the extremists like me, right?
Yeah.
That was pushing for him. Whether he likes it or not, okay, the energy of the alt-right at the time is what put him over the top last time.
Yes, absolutely. He didn't have that. He didn't have that support this time.
That's right.
At all. And at least, I'm glad he stuck up for Proud Boys, though. I'm glad he stuck out because the Proud Boys get a very bad rap.
At the end, he condemned them on Hannity's show. He condemned them.
Oh, he did, right? Yeah, that's so stupid. Because those guys, because they're so confused with Proud Boys. The Proud Boys now is like the new boogeyman because all the other alt-right is gone, and they call the Proud Boys all sorts of names, but I mean it's it's run by a Hispanic guy, and they got so many different people in it, and they call them racists and stuff, and all they really do is just hold rallies, counter rallies, to Antifa, but they call them supremacists and all this BS.
Well,
it's very unfair.
At least be even-handed if you're going to go after people.
Yes.
I can give you 20, 30 channels on YouTube of black extremists where they're saying the most vile and racist things about white people. Okay, there's tons of Hebrew, black Hebrew Israelite pages on YouTube. And they don't touch them, but then they shut down the Proud Boys and all these other organizations. They bunch everybody. Here's the thing, and this is what's going to hurt the left, or is hurting the left, though, is everybody who is not left wing is a Nazi or a fascist, and by doing that, they're pretty much now they've gotten to the point where they're bunching 75, 80 million people into this term, and and so it's just we need to change the narrative anyway. We need to just embrace it. Okay, fascism and communism are just forms of government. Any form of government can be corrupted. Okay, in the old days, it used to be just as bad to call someone a communist. The left now embraces
it's a compliment. They love it. Yeah, they love communism.
Right? Now we need to do the same thing with fascism. They label fascism as some type of horrible thing. When in reality, this government has been fascist since the early 1900s. You have been living under fascism in America since the early 1900s. You can't go trade openly with other countries in this country without tariffs or some type of regulation, right? So essentially, this has been soft fascism since the early 1900s.
Yeah, nobody really knows what they use fascism. They throw the term around. So I mean, it's ironic if it's kind of funny to say because I was just studying, like reading a bunch of stuff in both socialism, fascism, everything, just brushing up on it. And like the Italian founder of fascism, the way he wrote it, it sounds like almost like a it was like the guy. It was the guy who Mussolini copied it from, but it's kind of funny. It was kind of like not at all like the Nazis were socialists. They were National Socialists. The Italian Mussolini's regime was fascist, but it was really just like, 5 day work day or whatever, 8 hour work day, like minimum wage laws,
Right.
like tariffs, like efficient government.
Right.
It's kind of funny. It's like a pamphlet you would get from some liberal in San Francisco almost.
Right. That's what
agree.
people need to look at. Okay, you compare fascism and communism to iOS system and Windows, right? Both will get the job done, right? Both will get the job done. If you have good, honest, goodwill people running either system, they can be halfway competent systems, right? But the problem, if you get a virus in an iOS system, it'll become corrupt. If you get a virus in a Windows system, it'll be corrupt. The realization that the public needs to come to is that corruption can be in any form of government. Communism, fascism, democracy, republic, those are just basically preferences in what type of government you would like, right? And the foundation of that government. For example, here in my state, when we voted, right? We had 2 proposals on our ballot. One of the proposals in our state was whether to give law enforcement the right to look up basically your internet footprint without a warrant. Right? So that was one of the proposals, right? It got declined by 85%. They have to get a warrant, right? 85% of the populace voted to not allow the authorities to look at your internet footprint without a warrant. I agree. I voted for that, and I'm sure you agree with that, right? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
So on the issues, we overwhelmingly agree most of the time.
Yep.
Right? But if Trump would have got up and said the same thing, you would have had half the people opposing him just because he's Trump.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. It's there's no consistency. There's no consistency to the criticism.
We got another question here too. How do you all feel about California's mask and lockdown mandates for Thanksgiving? We have similar ones here in Michigan. This is how I feel about it. The laws are for the peasants, and the government officials do not follow it at all. You mentioned California. The governor there, I forget his name.
Newsom.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
He just went out to a birthday party. Let me tell you something. If this virus was a real threat, them Democrats, you wouldn't be able to get 100 feet with it close to them. If it was a real threat like Ebola or something.
They went to the, I think, was it the French Laundry or whatever? It's like the richest, it's the most expensive restaurant in California, and none of them were having masks on. And on top of it, people at the dinner included like the doctors with the California Medical Association or something. Actually, at this dinner, it's almost like they're all getting together, just laughing about it. Like, oh, these idiots, these stupid peasants following our mask laws. It's.
And then the restaurant literally put out a statement lying for him, saying it was outside. And then the video came out.
I mean, it's such a sham. Even there was just a study. Ron Paul just posted something about in Denmark or somewhere. They just released a study showing that pretty much everybody who has gotten COVID, of everyone they checked, has followed the mask mandates and worn masks all the time when they're supposed to and outside. And so the masks, obviously, if the masks worked, we wouldn't be having this issue we're having in New York and all these places. So it's a joke to them.
All right, I'm trying to wrap it up at about an hour, but I know you're into real estate a little bit also. Where do you see the real estate market going? Just I don't
know. I think it seems like people are leaving cities, don't buy in cities. It seems like everybody's kind of trying to move to the country is the trend I notice. People, which makes sense for a lot of reasons. People are still leaving liberal states that are, moving to more conservative ones. Colorado has gotten very liberal, but it's still conservative compared to California, New York, and Illinois, et cetera. So Colorado is still seeing prices skyrocket. I would really like, I'd really like to see people get into farms and agriculture and trying to get into self-sufficient
land.
Real estate. Yeah, exactly. I think that's what our society really needs.
Problem is
yeah.
a lot of land, if it's not developed or doesn't have a structure on it, you're going to have to
very
cash
expensive.
it. Well, you're going to have to pay cash. It's going to be very hard to get a mortgage.
Yep. Yeah, they want to. You know what? In being in real estate too, I kind of realize a lot about cities. If you want to create liberals, build apartments in urban cities. If you want to create conservatives, build farms and build homes that people can run businesses out of, and I really, that's kind of something that's going to be maybe a project I kind of get into as a personal thing. Is I think I want to start. If I get into construction, I've done a bunch of flips. I might try to get into construction to build, the real estate.
I'm a licensed builder.
Like that. Oh, perfect. There you go. I think that's who we need, man. It's
well, every state's
licensing
is different, so
yeah, we could build some stuff in Michigan, maybe.
but I think it's in deep trouble. Real estate rates are at 2.8%. Once rates start going up, you're gonna see a crash. I think.
That would make sense. Yeah.
I think it's propped up already. I don't know how with these lockdowns and with all of the people being unemployed. I honestly don't know how, because it still went up here in value. I don't know how it's crash.
If you look at every decade, there's some kind of recession. We haven't really had a recession since 2008. The 90s had a bubble. The 80s, during Carter.
Real estate, the only crash we really had was 2008. Technically, we had some flat, but as far as the crash, real estate used to be the safest investment at one time.
Yes, yeah. I think we're due for a crash at some point. It definitely feels inflated. The only thing keeping it up is these people leaving these liberal states in droves, artificially driving the price up everywhere else.
All right. You got anything else to touch on? You want to say let the people?
No. Yeah, actually, maybe I'll push print page again. So that's prntpage.com. Well, every week we push updates, and I really hope that this is my big goal, to create something to give conservatives a platform. Just another platform for us. So check it out, everybody, and I appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Thanks for having me on again.
Yep. Stay on. I'll close it out and we'll talk a little bit off the air.
Great.
All right. Thank you for joining me. And remember, in order to be a deplorable, you must be disavowed.